Greetings and welcome to Pinball Stories. This is our 4th episode, and I'm going to talk about theater of magic. I'm not just going to talk about one theater of magic, I'm going to talk about 2 theater of magic stories. 2 acquisitions in one story, because I have 2 different occasions of picking up theater of magics, and actually 3. I forgot. I've owned 3 of these things, but I'll talk about 2 specific stories because they're pretty interesting. And this is the first game that I picked up, and this was one of those things that showed up on Craigslist. And of course, I've been collecting for a while, so the prices is, in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, the games weren't as crazy priced as they are now. So there was definitely some deals. So this one I picked up. It was being sold by some guy on the Gulf Coast, and it was incomplete. Apparently, he had hired a guy to come work on it, and the guy took the MPU board and then never showed back up. So he had a pinball machine without an MPU board, so he couldn't demonstrate that it worked at all or anything. And he was asking a certain amount of money. I called him up, negotiated with him. We came to a price. And the funny part of this story is this character that I got this machine from. So I go all the way out there, and this was someplace like in Biloxi or Gulfport or Jacksonville. I forget where it was. So I drive all the way out there to the Gulf Coast to this guy's house, and I go to the house, and the house is completely empty. There is not a thing in the house except for this pinball machine. It's like it's been completely cleaned out. And it turns out that the guy that owned this was a lawyer, and I guess his wife divorced him because she caught him fooling around with somebody. And this was part of the estate, and he had to liquidate everything, and he was just about to move out of the house. And this was like apparently the last thing left in the house. So I come over there, and this is this little short, slightly pudgy, white, balding dude who, I mean, he must have been like 5 foot tall or something. And, he's just trying to get as much money as he can for the game. And I come out here and look at it, I'm like, well, there's no MPU board. I mean, I don't know how, I'm saying we can't even begin to see what's wrong with it because the game won't even really boot up. So, I do my standard thing, which is I know how much it's worth in its current condition, but since I don't really know how, I can't tell how much work it's going to need, here's how much it's worth to me. And so we eventually agree on it, and we start loading it all up, and the guy just starts telling me how he really likes black girls, young black girls, this old white dude, and I'm like, why are you telling me this? This is just sometimes one of these weird characters, and to kind of figure it out that he probably had an affair with some black girl, and his wife caught him, and then she divorced him. And I've come across a lot of pinball machine sales that were part of like fire sales from divorces. You go walk into people's houses and you can take a look around the house and go, something is not right here. This relationship is not working out. And this has happened on quite a number of occasions, and there's lots of different stories I can tell you about these scenarios because they're pretty funny. You can walk into somebody's house and you can kind of tell, okay, that person's a hoarder. This person has some kind of painkiller addiction. This person is liquidating for some reason, that kind of stuff. So I get the game. I end up having to buy a new MPU board, and it takes quite a bit of work. This game did need a lot of work. It was a lot more worse off than just having a missing MPU board. But I eventually did get it working, and it's a fun game. Obviously, people are familiar with Theater of Magic. It's a quite fun, valuable game, and it's really gorgeous. So let me tell you about the second time. So I have some friends in our club, and when they found out I snagged the Theater of Magic, my friend's like, oh, man, I've always been looking for one of those. And I said, well, if I come across any more, I'll let you know. I'll give you first dibs if something pops up. And he's like, cool, that'd be awesome. So fast forward maybe like a year later, another ad shows up on Craigslist. This is from the Gulf Coast as well, but I think this is around the Air Force Base or something. And it's for Theater of Magic, and the price was like, I forget whether it was $1,500 or $2,000, something like that. And I call him and I said, hey, there's a Theater of Magic on Craigslist for like $2,000. I know you were interested, so I'm giving you this lead, and my friend's like, I don't have any money, man. I'll have to pass on it. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go for it because it's too good a deal, and if it is what it is, I'm gonna use it as trade bait or whatever. So he's like, yeah, cool. But I gave him first dibs, and this is kind of one of the things that we do. We're really kind of an ethical group in our scene. It's not all about getting games at the cheapest price and getting one over on anybody else. We'd rather do it ethically. And this story kind of really is interesting because I didn't know if it was really a scam or not. Anyway, so I contact him, and I get this lady, and it's like, yeah, this is a game that used to be on the Air Force Base and had been operated, and then they stopped putting the pinball machines out there, and we took it home and played it for many years. And I said, well, what's wrong with it? She's like, nothing, it works fine. I said, really? So 2000? And she said, yep. And I said, okay, well, I'm about 3 hours away. I will definitely take it. So if you can hold it, I'll just jump in my car and head over there. And she goes, no problem. So I hop in my car. I immediately start driving over there. And I'm about on the road maybe a half hour on my 3 hour drive. And I get a phone call from the seller. And I'm like, oh, no. So I pick up the phone, and she says, yeah, I think I may have made a mistake. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm like, what's going on? She says, well, all these people are calling me saying, what's wrong with the game? What's wrong with the game? Why are you selling it for $2,000? And I think maybe it was worth a lot more. And, and I'm driving along, and I'm going, oh, no. And she's like, so I think I listed it way too low. And, my heart's just sinking. And then she says, but you know what? A deal is a deal. So come get it. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. You're doing like a little Snoopy dance in my car. And I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really rolling in money. So I would scrape up every little bit of money I could get to grab these deals, and I was always kind of flipping and selling. Well, I really wasn't flipping, but I was acquiring them and restoring them and doing stuff like that. So I get out there and I get this thing, and I know she had gotten calls from people going, I'll give you $2,500, I'll give you $3,000, I'll be there in 10 minutes, and she's like, I already got a guy coming. And I really, really appreciate those kinds of people. And I can't thank them enough. When I got the game back, it was in really great condition. It even had notes in it about how many plays had been played and everything, because it had been on a military base, so they were very meticulous about it. This is a beautiful game. Got it for a great deal. Needed very little work. In fact, right now it's on location in downtown New Orleans, and people can play the game. And it's, I love sharing it with other people. And this is the thing: when you get a game that's supposedly really like an A-list game, and you pay a lot of money for it, then what do? You stick it back in your living room, and you keep it to yourself because it's so valuable. You don't want to do that. But if you can get an A-list game really cheap, then in my book, I'll put it on location. I mean, it seems like crazy. Like a lot of people would be like, why would you put such a valuable game out to get beat up? Well, I didn't pay that much for it. So I'm going to share it with other people. So that's kind of the way we like to do these things. And I'm so appreciative of people like that. And I've been in the other side where I was selling something. I made a deal with somebody. Somebody else called up and made a higher offer. And I said, no, a deal's a deal. Because I really do believe what goes around comes around. And so when I think of theater magic, that's what I think of, which is kind of ironic considering the designer of this took advantage of a bunch of people in a later deal with his Magic Girl sequel that he tried to do. But when I think of theater magic, I think of cool sellers that are honorable. And that would be my advice, be honorable, treat other people the way you'd like to be treated, and it does come around. Now, I've lost a lot of deals where I made a deal with somebody and I was en route and somebody called and said, somebody else offered more money, so I'll still give you first crack if you raise your offer. And I'd said, no, I'm not going to play this game, I don't, and so I would not do that. So there are different kinds of buyers and sellers. You have to decide what kind you want to be. But I find if you honor your deal and you play fair with other people, it comes back around and you get better deals. And this is just one of those examples where it played out like that. And I would encourage everybody else to do the same. Keep your eyes open, be fair with people, and opportunities will present themselves. So thanks for listening to my goofy little Pinball Stories series. And for more, visit PinballHelp.com. And thanks for watching.